Welcome back to the channel. It's your buddy John. We did it. Week 2 update. So this week was not bad at all. Obviously, it wasn't as smooth as the first week, but we'll get into that. So we're going to start off the video with the weigh-in this morning. And here it is, 291. So a loss of over 3.5 pounds from last week, which brings us to 16.7 on the journey so far. Obviously, last week I didn't lose 13 true pounds, but yeah, I guess it was kind of like a detox, I guess you could say. We're moving in the right direction. I'm happy to report continued progress in the way we want to go, which is down. Yeah, I didn't want to have to bring you a video where I said we've already started going the wrong way. So we'll start with eating this week. Eating this week went pretty well. Slight deviations here and there, but nothing crazy. I had a couple pieces of pizza with my daughter. And then I went out last night for a friend's birthday. Happy birthday, Amber. We went out to a restaurant in Central Texas, and we had a good time. Even though the service wasn't what we'd like it to be, it was still a pretty good time. But for the rest of the meals this week, pretty standard stuff. So I said that I would bring you quantifiable numbers, and that's what I did. So eating this week, let's see if I can remember this off the top of my head. 48 egg whites, almost 5 pounds of chicken breast, 27 cups of vegetables to include spinach, green peppers, onions, jalapenos, cucumbers, 12 cups of jasmine rice, 84 ounces of naked fruit drinks. Those are like, I think it was, Green Machine and Mighty Mango this week. Pretty good stuff. I don't really eat a lot of fruit, but, I don't have any problem drinking it, I guess. I know some people don't like drinking their calories. I don't mind it in that case. So that's how that went. For the physical activity this week, weight training did not happen. I'm disappointed to have to admit that to you, but that is the truth. We did not get into it, but we'll see what happens next week, I guess. In terms of walking this week, because that's my primary activity that I take part in, 99,041 steps for the week, just a shade under 50 miles walk this week. And this week down here in Texas, it was cold. I'm from Michigan and upstate New York. Those are areas I spent a lot of time in as a kid. Grew up in Detroit, born in upstate New York. And, everybody always said the South is so hot. And that is true. The summers here are absolutely miserable. But winter last night, it was 33 degrees. It felt like 13. And I'm telling you, it was miserable. When I came inside, my hands were throbbing. I thought they were going to explode. That was pretty bad. So I bought gloves today. We'll take care of that in the future. Sleep this week was actually much improved. I would say I averaged about 6.5 hours a night, which for me, it's still not optimal. That 8-hour mark is, I guess, what we'd be aiming for. But 6.5 hours is, if you know me and you know my sleep schedule, you'll know that 6.5 hours is admirable. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good week. So now again, we'll be moving forward into the week 3, and we'll be looking for further losses. Now, when I talked in the last video, I talk about the 3 common things that are understood about weight loss. You have your diet and your calories in, calories out. You have your level of physical activity, and then you have your sleep. Those are all the 3 main components of trying to help yourself go along the weight loss journey. But there's a 4th one. Well, for me, maybe it's not for you. For me, the 4th one is music. And I know that has nothing to do with any of this other stuff, but for me, it's required. When I'm getting ready to go outside, I have to have something that's going to keep my attention while I'm out there. I can walk all day as long as I have somewhere to go when I'm walking. So when I'm out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just strolling along, that's because there's something out there to keep me mentally occupied and also keep me interested in doing what I'm doing. It's almost like therapy going out there by myself. I'm the only one out there. It's kind of cold. It's pretty dark usually when I go out. And so it's just one of those situations where it's just me in my own mind. I'm doing what I do. So What I'm going to be doing going forward also will be in the description for each video. I will be listing the top 10 songs for me that help me stay out there and help me do what I needed to do for the updates coming every week. You'll see songs that resonated with me in some way or another. I'll post them in there, and maybe you'll hear the content from the music and you'll be like, oh, I understand where John's at. I totally understand this guy. Or you'll listen to it and you'll say, I have a terrible taste in music. Either way, yeah, it's all good with me. But yeah, that'll be how we do things going forward. I kind of wanted to get into, I was out thinking this week and I wanted to tell a little story. I'm going to tell a few stories, but I'm going to start with this one. Why we started this, why I started going down this road. And I was talking with my buddy. I won't say his name, but I did get permission to tell the story because I didn't want to talk about it if he wasn't cool with it. And he said he was all right with it. But love you, bro. Appreciate you. We were talking and he was talking about a situation with his girlfriend, and he was feeling like there were some issues going on. He was feeling like she wanted out. And he calls me and he's like, man, she's out, man. And I'm trying to talk him off the ledge. I'm like, no, she's not out, bro. I don't think so. I know what checked out looks like. I was married for almost 10 years. I mean, if I'm being honest, and it's no shade to my ex-wife, this is just in general. I probably know more about checked out than I do checked in. So, he's trying to explain the situation to me and I'm telling him that it's not what it is. He's overreacting. Anyway, he says to me, he says, he tells me he thinks she's going. She's thinking about leaving. And then 10 minutes into this conversation, he says, man, last night I was laying in bed and she asked me to get her a cup of water. And he's like, yeah, so I go downstairs, and as soon as I get downstairs, I hear like feet running upstairs. He's like, I don't know what that's about, but all right. And he says he gets some water and he goes back upstairs and his chick's in bed in lingerie for him. Now, I'm immediately clenching my teeth and making fists, because, 10 minutes ago, he's telling me she's almost out the door. And then he tells me a story like that. And if you know anything about women in relationships, they tend to check out emotionally before they actually check out. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the actions of somebody who is checked out emotionally. As a matter of fact, that may be the most thoughtful thing I've heard of in a long time. And it was that story as I sat there and I'm thinking, like, why am I gritting my teeth? I came to the realization that, I've been divorced almost 6 years, I'd say, coming up on 6 years. And, man, I miss that. I miss that kind of thoughtfulness from a female companion. And, it was kind of in that moment, a couple days after that, I was just thinking about that story and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I got to put myself in position to go find that again. It doesn't typically happen when you're 307 and you're sitting on the couch not doing anything. So to the homeboy, I appreciate that story, man. I really want to be honest, man. I think that probably jump started some of what's going on here. And so, man, I'm glad we had that conversation. So with that being said, if you or anyone wants to get in lingerie for your boy, just put it down in the comments. I respond to comments, I promise. I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody who hit me up this week, I really appreciate it. I had people reach out to me personally and say they watched the videos and that they too were trying to do things in their own life that they wanted to do. A few people specifically who said they were going to try to lose weight as well. So I really appreciate that. They use words like inspire, and I'm humbled by that. But anything that you do on your journey, that's all you. Like, I can't take any credit for that. I'm just a man over here walking my path. If that's your path and you watch my video and that made you decide that you should do something, that's great. But whatever results you get, man, that's all you. And I'm, as you are here supporting me, I will also be there to support you. I appreciate you guys sharing that with me. I want to shout out my boy Ernie. He was commenting specifically on the sleep issues I had last week, and he made a recommendation for L-theanine. He sent me a bottle, and I can say this week, I would take those just before I laid down, and within 10, 15 minutes of hitting the pillow, I'm out. That's not normally how things go for me. I'm the kind of guy that stares at the ceiling for an hour and then I just get up because there's no use. So, Ernie, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, brother. Came in clutch. We'll be using these going forward. Now, I also want to give a shout out to the homie Charlie. I went to high school with Charlie. I haven't talked to him in a long time. It's no bad blood or anything. You know, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, you kind of go your own way. But he saw the videos and he reached out to me this week. I'm going to tell this story because it has a lot to do with what's going on right now. And I hadn't really thought about it in a while. He sent me some messages saying, "Hey, it's Charlie. You know, I saw the videos. Dude, we're totally behind you, totally support you, man. You know, XYZ." Very nice conversation. But very shortly into us chatting over text, he sends a message that made me take a second. I had to step back. I kind of surprised me. And actually, I got kind of emotional when I read it. Yeah, he sent me a message along the lines of, "I'm really sorry that you tried to off yourself." Now, I'm choosing my words a little differently for the YouTube algorithm, certain things you can't say. But when I read that, it kind of took me back to August of 2016 when I did indeed try to off myself. And I guess that's kind of integral to the story as I was thinking about it all week. In August 2016, I probably spent half of the month sitting in my closet with a pistol on my lap, talking to the veteran crisis line. That was probably one of the toughest times of my life. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to do anything anymore. Every day was a fight. I didn't want to fight anymore. And that went on for a few weeks. Then uh, there were a few nights where I went down and kind of stood on a bridge and thought about jumping over the bridge in the traffic. And I thought about how awful that would be. I mean, potentially awful, not just for me, but for other people who have nothing to do with what's going on in my life. And there was actually one night that somebody called the police and they came and they were legitimately talking me off the ledge because it was late and there was really no reason for me to be standing on the bridge. Cop was a nice guy. I wish I remember his name, but I don't at the time. So towards the end of the month, it got to the point where I was like, all right, man, all this stuff is scary. Shooting yourself, jumping off a bridge, this is all bad news. I got the idea that I would take a bunch of medication that I'd been prescribed. And I was sitting in the Lakewood Town Center. This is not Tacoma, I think Lakewood. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to take all this Ambien and I'll fade off and I'll just be in this parking lot and no one will know I'm here. And that will be that. Probably should have researched this a little bit, but you know, what are you going to do? Hindsight's 2020. I'm sitting in this parking lot. I probably took like 100 of these Ambien. And my ex-wife, or my wife at the time, she calls me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I say, I just took a bunch of pills. And she's like, "John, you need to go to the hospital." Now, I don't know, it's probably 10, 15 minutes away from MAMC, Madigan Army Medical Center on Fort Lewis. And it was, you know, genuine concern. So, you know, I was like, okay. I started driving. And as I'm making my way to Fort Lewis, I'm trying to get to MAMC. You know, I'm starting to swerve and stuff. I'm starting to feel the effects of all this medication. And I get through the gate. I pull up to the ER. I don't know why I parked so far away because there wasn't a lot of cars there, but I did. I get out of the car and I start to stand, you know, I try to stand up out of the car to start walking and I can feel my lights going out, you know, it's starting to get dark. I didn't really have any balance, couldn't really control myself. I turn around and I see a dude, he's like helping his wife in the car or whatever. He's in uniform and I just start waving and I start yelling, "Hey, hey." And the dude, he looks over and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I'm like, "Dude, can you help me?" So he starts making his way over there and He gets real close, and I'm leaning against the car because I can't really stand up. I said, "Hey, man, I just took a bunch of pills, man, and I don't think I'm gonna make it into the ER. Can you help me?" And so, he puts my arm around his shoulder or his neck, shoulder, whatever, and we start walking. And it's even harder to walk now. It's a lot heavier, and uh, my vision's starting to be tunnel vision. You know, I'm not gonna make it. And I told him, I said, "Man, I don't think I'm gonna make it, man." And within a second, dude, fireman carries me, throws me up on his shoulder, and he says, "Hang in there, brother. I got you." This was August of 2016. I had been struggling for a long time. "Hang in there, brother. I got you." That was probably the most reassuring thing I'd heard all year. And it was coming from, a complete stranger. I remember making it into the ER. They were asking me questions. I don't remember answering anything. And then I woke up later the next day in the ICU. And I just remember being really grateful that that I did, that I made it. I say all that to say this: that situation um, was really tough. I was in a really tough place. I hadn't thought about that in a long time until I received that message. And what Charlie said about, I'm sorry to hear that. It really made me think, because when I read the message, my initial thought was, he's sorry to hear that I tried to off myself. I didn't know anybody cared at all. Like, when you're in those situations, it doesn't take a lot to pull you back. Like I said, I had a phone call for my wife at the time wasn't even really talking to me, but she called me. He's like, "You should go to the hospital." I'm like, "Right, I should go to the hospital. You're correct." But had she not called me, I don't know what would have happened. The point is I used to be so tired of fighting. Like, every day was a fight. I used to be so tired of it. And then now I look at how my life is now. I mean, it's not perfect. I still deal with things. I still struggle with things. Every day is a fight. But these days, I'm just happy to be able to answer the bell. And that's the difference. Then I thought the only way out was to end it. Now I know the way out is to keep moving forward. It doesn't always have to be like it is. It's going to require work. It's going to require a lot of work on, my part or your part, if you're in the situation, excuse me. But thinking back on that has really given me a great appreciation for what's going on right now. To be able to come here every week, to be able to set a goal in my life and say, I want to be something. I want to do something. I want something in my life. I'd like to get married again. I'd like more children. In order to do that, I'm going to have to do some work. And to think about it in those terms, as opposed to, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be anything. I don't even care anymore. Totally different mindset. I, it just allows you to appreciate, it allows me to appreciate the circumstances of today. These circumstances today were unfathomable in that time frame. I could have never seen being on the other side of this. And since then, I've gone through other things. I mean, namely the divorce that happened within the last 6 years, and we made it through that. And then you start to realize, like, again, as you move forward, the way out is to keep moving forward. Does it suck? Sure. Does it? Is it easy? No. But if you keep moving forward, you can find yourself on the other side sooner or later. I'd like to think, for the most part, I'm on the other side of these terrible experiences in my life. And without those terrible experiences, I wouldn't really be able to appreciate the situation I'm in now. I've got people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, man, we love it. We support you. Hey, man, you're making me want to do something like this." I never would have thought that I'd be able to affect anybody. And so I'm really happy to hear that people are like, hey, man, we're digging it. We're with you. Look, you can't do things by yourself. And, and even if you could, why would you want to? I've been fortunate in the place I'm in now. I'm surrounded by a lot of good people. I have a great system around me. I have very supportive people around me. And, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said I had that same thing. Maybe that was the difference. Maybe that's the difference now. If I had the same team 10 years ago, maybe it wouldn't have got to that point, but it did. And, we made it out. So, look, week 2 in the books. Sorry to get all heavy on you guys. Again, shout out Charlie. I appreciate that. Took me down memory lane and really reminded me of really reminded me of where I've come from and made sure that I appreciated what's going on now. So thank you for that, brother. I really do appreciate your concern. Look, we're going into week 3. Hopefully we get to see another decline in the scale. That is the goal. That's going to be what we're working towards. Any suggestions you guys have, I'm open to them. I really appreciate everybody who reached out. Make sure you comment, subscribe, and like. And I will catch you in the next video. Out.